What's up, people? Shit, y'all need to wake up. We out here grinding. About to head to work. Shit, got exams tomorrow. It's all good. Hard work pays off at the end of the day. Work hard now, you're gonna be chilling later. But as far as Terence Crawford versus Benavidez, Terence Crawford did his thing. The fight lived up to the expectations. And Benavidez, to be honest with you, he was too flat-footed for Terence Crawford at the end of the day. I mean, a lot of people was picking Terence Crawford to win, but even like without Benavidez fight versus Herrera that made people think that it was a guaranteed win for Crawford, I mean, a lot of people should still pick Terence Crawford just due to his footwork. I mean, if you're a stationary fighter the way Benavidez fought last night, man, ain't no way you beating Terence Crawford because he's too mobile for you. I mean, he just could go to point A to point B to point C to point D while you stuck in point A still. So Benavidez did what he usually do. He's a counterpuncher. And what do you do to a counterpuncher is you either fight him two ways. Either you box circles around him or you make it a dog fight. Now, Terence Crawford could do both, but he chose to do, box circles around him, which gave Benavidez the benefit of the doubt because it gave him his best chance to win. And guess what? He fought his fight, but at the end of the day, all he did is he performed as good as he could do. I mean, which I expect from Benavidez. I give him props and respect for putting up a great fight, to be honest with you. But like I said, at the end of the day, Terence Crawford boxed circles around him. And at first, his escape routes wasn't on point at first. I mean, he was just making adjustments. But afterwards, he made the right adjustments. And once he made the right adjustments, it was a wrap. And once he started hooking and pivoting at the same time, because Benavidez was trying to counter him with the right hand. Once Terence Crawford started doing that, he stopped getting countered as much. But he was getting countered whenever he lunges, sometimes with his left hand or he used to reach. Even with the jab, he was kind of reaching. So you don't reach versus a counterpuncher. And Benavidez made him pay a couple times. But like Terence Crawford said, he made the right adjustments and calculated the distance right. It took him a little bit longer than usual because, like I said, he fighting Benavidez fight. He fighting at Benavidez range. He wasn't fighting mid-range and long range. He wasn't fighting mid-range and in the inside. He was fighting long range. And Benavidez was a tall fighter, so he was fighting Benavidez fight, to be honest with you. But with his skills, he was still able to pull it off. Like I said, because Benavidez is a stationary fighter. When you're a stationary fighter, you just don't have that huge of a chance versus Terence Crawford. I mean, even Errol Spence ain't stationary. I mean, Errol Spence got footwork. He knows how to cut off the ring, etc., etc. Benavidez was just stuck in the mud almost, kind of like to say. So, at the end of the day, Terence Crawford did what he had to do, but he better improve his game versus the top fighters. Even, it don't have to be Errol Spence. I mean, even a prime Keith Thurman would have gave Terence Crawford problems tonight. But also, you got to understand, Benavidez have tremendous hand speed and accuracy. So, it ain't just Terence Crawford, not looking like the original Terence Crawford. It's just the fact that Benavidez has great hand speed. And on top of that, he could fight. But I like the way Terence Crawford set him up. and got the knockout. Like I said, he didn't look for the knockout. The knockout came to him because he fought his fight. When you look for the knockout, sometimes you will make more mistakes. With Benavidez, he could have actually stopped him earlier if he would have pushed the fight in the pocket, because Benavidez just doesn't feel comfortable to fight in the pocket. But Crawford, his game plan was to box. But like I said, if he actually pressured him and fought him in the inside and make it a dog fight, he would have definitely probably stopped him earlier. Because y'all saw whenever he threw combinations and was fighting him a little in the inside, no answer. All he do is just put the high guard up, and that ain't gonna do you too good versus somebody like Terence. But Terence went to the body, broke the man down, and then, you know, like Terence said, Benavidez was pulling back a lot, so it was hard for him to land any uppercut really. Then when the 12th round came, he was already fatigued, so whenever he went to, because of the body shots, obviously, but when he threw that uppercut, actually Benavidez was throwing his own uppercut, but Crawford connected first because he was throwing a combination. He threw the left hand just to set up the uppercut, the right uppercut, and Terence Crawford got him out of there with that shit. That shit was a vicious ass uppercut. I mean, damn, that was some Prince Nassim Hamed shit from the southpaw position. But I find it funny that Bob Arum, after the fight, said Terence Crawford is the best southpaw in the world. He was trying to take shots at Errol Spence, if y'all didn't peep that. Like, I know what Bob Arum's trying to do. Like, he didn't say he's the best fighter in the world, right? He said he's the best southpaw in the world. Funny enough, the top 3 southpaws in the world are Errol Spence, Terence Crawford, and Lomachenko. So if you're saying Lomachenko is the #1 guy in the world, he's the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, which is funny because it contradicts. I mean, how you gonna say Lomachenko is the #1 pound-for-pound when you got Terence Crawford? I understand Terence Crawford wasn't your fighter, but when Terence Crawford is also your fighter, then that's when I have a problem with it. You know what I mean? But he fucked around and said Terence Crawford the best southpaw in the world, admitting that that means he's the best fighter in the world as well. Because, like I said, if you the best southpaw in the world, and Lomachenko is a southpaw himself, 24/7, and Terence Crawford ain't even a southpaw 24/7. He's like southpaw 90% of the time. So you're admitting that Crawford is the #1 pound-for-pound, pound-for-pound in the world. So hey, just give the man his just due. But I don't know if y'all leaving comments. I can't see right now because I'm on the highway, shit, heading to work and shit. I ain't trying to get in an accident, but click that like button. Same time, like I said, if y'all got a question, I could probably peep it real quick. But like I said, Terence Crawford, he didn't look like the usual Terence because of Benavidez. Y'all gotta give Benavidez the benefit of the doubt. But I'm gonna tell you one thing about Benavidez that a lot of people understand. Benavidez, I actually was hyped on him when he first turned pro, like, and my boy wasn't. He was telling me, look, man, I want to see him fight real fighters. He got cool hand speed and stuff, but he too stationary. But I just had too much acting for my liking, like on his back and on his face. Like, I don't know what the hell going on with Benavidez. I mean, his hormones kicking in. Shit. And by the way, the streaming is sometimes bad, so it be like cutting, so I can't tell when it's like breaking and shit. But all I could do is keep talking. But like I said before, Benavidez still showed up to fight. I don't know if this fight was VADA tested, but all top fights need to be VADA tested, especially right when Saunders got caught with that substance that's 10 times stronger than computer roll. and that shit leaves your body in 24 hours. I feel like that's horrible. That's a horrible substance right there. I mean, goddamn. Shit. If I was a boxer, I'd be worried about that shit. I'd be testing my opponents left and right. But at this level, especially at Terence Crawford level where he fights at, he shouldn't be fighting anybody that ain't getting VADA tested, or even, you know, VADA tested throughout the whole year. But we'll see how Lomachenko looks his next fight, because Terence still dominated another undefeated opponent. I mean, Terence Crawford's resume just looks sick, man. God damn. Now, they need to let my boy Errol Spence on the other side get the fights he wants, so both of their resumes can look the same. I mean, of course, Errol Spence is more polished at 147, has the better resume at 147, but that's because he fought at 147 his whole life. Terence Crawford fought at 3 different divisions, and he got better names because of the 3 different divisions. Well, I don't know who got better name. As far as who got the best name, is Errol, because he fought Kell Brook. That's the best name on both guys' resume. But overall, Terence Crawford definitely has the better resume. I mean, I ain't gonna sugarcoat this shit. Like, people need to stop that shit, because Errol is, you know, he's a great talent. He's the #1 147 pounder, while Terence Crawford the #1 pound for pound fighter. But like I said, Terence only had 2 fights at 147. But meanwhile, Errol Spence, his whole career, he fought at 147. And not just that, one thing to fight at 147, but he a big-ass dude, man. He got that skill, boy. Shit, better ask Floyd, better ask Broner, better ask Sean Porter. He got that work, too, when he was an amateur. I mean, no, when Sean Porter was a pro. So peep this shit. Sean Porter was sparring Errol Spence when Errol Spence was about to go to the Olympics, right? So you a pro, you about to fight for your world title, which is Sean Porter, the southpaw. I forgot his name. Devin. Yeah, he was fighting Devin for the title. So you fighting Devin for the title. You got like 20 plus fights. Errol Spence has no fights in the pros, and he dogs you in sparring. I mean, he dogs you so bad, Kenny Porter don't even want to talk about that shit. I mean, with the Keith Thurman whole build-up, he was screaming out, leak out the tape, leak out the tape. With Errol Spence, he talking about, oh, nobody got the tape. Even though it was on YouTube, he like, nah, nobody got the tape. Nobody should leak that out. Shit, that shit illegal. You get sued. Hey, I sue you. Like, come on, Kenny. Keep the same energy, though. Like, come on, bro. You can't be out here looking like a tough guy versus Keith Thurman. But with Errol Spence, who's humble as shit, you out here, you know, shaking and shit. But we know what time it is. That means Errol Spence dogged him in sparring. And Errol Spence dogged everybody in sparring, really. But what you expect fight night? If that's what he did to you when he was green, I mean, it's going to be ugly fight night. And that's why Sean Porter doesn't want the fight. Because like I said, you fighting Errol Spence, man, you ain't just fighting, bro. Part of you will be missing in that ring. That's why Mikey Garcia ain't taking the fight. And that's why you got Kenny Porter trying to protect his son. Y'all know, if y'all in Sean Porter dad's shoes, y'all do the same shit for y'all son, man. I mean, but at the end of the day, hey, you promoted your son a certain way. I mean, come on, man. Like, I remember when Sean Porter and Kenny Porter was on Dante Boxing radio show, and we used to interview him back in the day. And they were on some humble shit, but at the end of the day, they was talking that shit. They was talking that shit about Floyd. They was calling out Floyd, saying he's ducking young black fighters. And why y'all doing the same thing now? I mean, like, you can't get on Floyd for something he actually didn't do, but you out here doing it. But you don't expect us to criticize you? And click the like button real quick. Shit, what y'all here got me on one like for? But at the end of the day, like I said, he was talking that shit about Floyd Mayweather. He was talking about, we told him, hey, what about Keith Thurman? He's willing to fight you. He's like, oh, nah, we got to get a guaranteed Floyd Mayweather fight. Like, really? Like, why you got to have a guaranteed Floyd Mayweather fight to fight Keith Thurman? But you claiming you willing to fight everybody and anybody and this and that. But like I said, Errol Spence is a bigger star than you now. It's not like you fighting an underdog. I mean, you fighting somebody more popular than you. You need Errol more than he needs you, almost, type of shit. But you still don't want to fight him? I mean, the whole thing about boxing is you want to aim for the biggest star, right? The biggest star in your division is Errol Spence at this point. So why are you not fighting the man? And if you're not fighting Errol Spence, you ain't fooling me, because you ain't fighting Terence Crawford either, man. If you ain't fighting Errol, you ain't fighting Terence Crawford either. So, I mean, of course, they have better energy about Terence Crawford. They be like, yeah, they seem more confidence when talking about Terence Crawford. But Sean Porter don't want that smoke. And nor Keith Thurman. I mean, Keith Thurman keep talking that shit. But goddamn, Lomachenko had a shoulder injury or something like that. And he had a surgery and all that shit. And he's already back fighting the champion. So you telling me Keith Thurman been out for like a year and shit, and he can't return to the ring yet, but he out here sparring in Thailand or whatever with the footage with him sparring and shit. So you telling me you good to spar in the street, but you can't spar in the ring for money or box in the ring for money? So it's all bullshit, man. They don't want the smoke. They seeing too much smoke out here, and it's too foggy for them. They're like, man, I don't want none of this shit. Let the Errol Spence wave get out the way first. Let him move up a weight. Let Terence Crawford get the Errol Spence fight. See if he actually has a chance and he could defeat Errol or not. If not, we got to get that shit. We got to let that wave pass us. Once it do, then we probably come back to the scene. That's what Keith Thurman and Sean Porter game plan is. I promise you, Sean Porter and Keith Thurman probably text each other every night. Talk about, oh yeah. Oh yeah, I'm connected. Shit, I went out of service. But like I said, they probably text it real. It seemed like they on the same page because, I mean, the mandatory is like, When WBC, I knew Keith Thurman had that belt before, of course. So I don't want to hear nobody say, "Oh, well, Keith Thurman had that belt before. That's why they made him the mandatory." But think about it. Why is he the mandatory for that belt when he's another champion? I mean, how can you be a mandatory for another belt when you're already a champion? That don't even make sense. I could see them ordering the fight for two champions to unify. But I just can't see a particular fighter being a mandatory while being a champion. The whole thing about a mandatory is you not being a champion. So how the hell are you a champion and a mandatory at the same goddamn time? How the hell are you a champion and retired for like a year plus, right? So it's all blowing smoke, man. So Terence Crawford, y'all seen tonight? Y'all think Sean Porter could beat him? Y'all think Danny Garcia could beat him? Y'all think Keith Thurman got a shot? I doubt it, man. And like I said, at the end of the day, Crawford stepped his game up. Whenever he fights, after the third round I meant, it ain't no longer a fight. He make the right adjustments, and he pulls the win. And tonight, last night, he proved it. So at the end of the day, Terence Crawford gonna make it do what it do, baby. You know what I mean? And Errol Spence on the other side. I know a lot of people already calling for that fight, but hey, you gotta be reasonable. And like I said, this is like Hagler and Leonard all over again. Now as far as styles, well, maybe as far as styles too, but as far as personality, I would say. Yeah, well, as far as personality, personality and styles, Errol Spence is Leonard, and Terence Crawford is Hagler. Because Hagler, remember, he was a switch hitter. Also, Hagler was a mean dog. I mean, and he was looking at Leonard like, man, how the hell you getting paid on your professional debut $50,000? Well, I'm out here making a couple bucks and shit. You know what I mean? But hey, what's up, Nasser, goddamn, I'm over here reading in English and shit. But like I said, Hagler was kind of jealous at Leonard for that. But if y'all see the come up for Errol Spence, he's a humble guy, doesn't do too much trash talking. He didn't come from a rough background like Terence Crawford did. Terence Crawford was extremely poor. He even got locked up at one point. Like I said, it's kind of like the story of Hagler all over again. But Terence Crawford, the only thing about him, he's a better boxer than Hagler was, as far as with his footwork and stuff, moving around the ring. But Hagler was a beast too, man. But he was more of a pressure fighter as far as styles. But he was a switch hitter too. So that's a big fight, man. So y'all gotta let that shit build up, man. God damn it. I mean, let Errol clean his side of the street. I mean, I know people don't like to hear that shit, but he will have more leverage when he makes that fight with Terence Crawford. Plus, that fight will be big enough to be on pay-per-view. On top of that, keep in mind, Terence already got his resume. I mean, he looks good. As far as his resume looks solid. But Errol, he need to build his resume a little more. I mean, he got good fights, his last couple fights. However, he needs the Sean Porter fights. He needs the Keith Thurmans. He needs the Danny Garcia fights. Like, if he could get these 3 fights, then even the Mikey Garcia fight, then I don't have a problem, man. I'll be like, go ahead. Meanwhile, I felt like Errol should fight his mandatory boogies, some shit like that. He calling them out, man, get that shit out of the way while these fighters ducking you. And meanwhile, I don't know what the fuck Terence Crawford gonna do, man. What the hell Terence Crawford gonna do? You out here, you got, whatchamacallit? You got no opponents, really. I'm trying to think of who on Top Rank stable, and I can't think of nobody at 147 on Top Rank stable other than Timothy Bradley. He retired. What y'all gonna do? Bring Timothy Bradley out of retirement? Even Manny Pacquiao left Bob Arum, so he went and signed with Al Heyman. That's what Terence Crawford should have did. It should have been a learning lesson. You can't be too loyal to Top Rank, Terence, because if you're too loyal, they're gonna use you, fam. I mean, think about it. I understand he's a loyal person. He like, man, they brought me up. I'm a stick with him. But remember Pacquiao, man, they brought him up too, right? But they kind of did him dirty at the end. Like, that shit was kind of messed up what they did to Pacquiao at the end of the day. So why would you be loyal to somebody like that? And Pacquiao signed to Al Heyman $100 million too late. So you could have been that person that signed with Al Heyman at the right time. As soon as your contract ended, went to BPC, and all the fighters are PBC. I mean, all the fights you want, all the top names. So that was kind of silly mistake, because even the 154-pound division, most of the names they with your boy Al Heyman. So that's what he should have did, really. But I ain't gonna blame the man for doing what he did. I mean, he's still getting paid, so hey, it is what it is. But I feel like he would have gotten paid that much any damn way. But like I always say, subscribe below if you're trying to get smarter by the minute, and don't if you're a casual ass fans. But if you're a trail one, click on the notification bell to get notified every time I go live. I do that shit when I go to work, like I'm about to right now. You know what I mean? Shit, gotta hustle, baby. Y'all ain't paying the bills for me. Shit, I gotta do that shit. I here gotta go to school, gotta work, do all that shit. But yeah, man, so, hey, what's up? Peace.